you described the grief as really hitting you in the belly uh, really hard. I mean,
Yeah.
you make it very vivid in the book that the grief was very powerful. And I don't remember if it was right after your brothers, maybe the succession of the two, where you just were overcome by the grief for a bit.
I think the two deaths had some similarities and some differences. And some of what became clear as I was writing about these experiences was how I held the griefs differently. So I was with my dad when he died. I was laying in bed with him when he took his last breath. My mother was there. So we're both of my brothers. And in many ways, it was a very sacred, beautiful experience. And I felt so much gratitude to be able to be there and so much reverence for that moment of passing from the known life to the unknown, whatever it is on the other side.
Yeah.
And of course I grieved him because I missed him as a father. I missed him as a grandparent to my children. I missed him as a companion and caretaker for my mother. Like there was a huge hole there. But losing my brother to suicide had a very different quality because I wasn't with him. You know, he died alone. He died in a field in Montana. He was far away. There wasn't the kind of intimate tenderness, loving moment where I could sort of bear witness and also be present as he moved on. And that was a more traumatic loss. For sure. I think there's also something developmentally different about, you know, as adults, we understand that we will likely lose our parents, but to lose my brother when he was 33 just felt like a disruption of the developmental order, right? I was supposed to, you can hear my supposed to cognitive language there, but supposed to grow old with my brother. He's supposed to, you know, go along with me in life.
Yeah.
And so that loss felt very different.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you describe it very vividly in the book as that you wanted to lash out, you wanted to break something, you wanted to screw something. It really got beneath all the conscious defenses.
Right, all of those prefrontal cortex process. And that is trauma, right? That's, I think, where I would say my dad's death was not traumatic for me.
Yeah.
My brother's death was, and I felt it very differently in my body. That kind of deep level animal survival kind of moment of feeling like almost not human, almost just a body in pain.
Yeah, you were in your animal. As a matter of fact, you write about at the cellular level that you felt changed by grief at the cellular level, that your experience of yourself, of your own body, was dramatically shifted.
Yeah, it helped me understand, you know, the language we use in our culture is the language of shock. Yeah. Like I've used that word so many times. Oh, were you shocked? That sounds shocking. I use it all the time, but it wasn't until that moment that I received the phone call that my brother was dead that I felt shocked in the like lightning way, in the electrical way.
Yeah.
And like my whole system sort of was rocked by this news that, you know, is not unlike what it feels like when you're shocked with electricity and your whole body recoils like, you have this big reaction.
Yeah. Sometimes.
So I understood that language in a new way.
Yeah. Fall on the floor. Did you fall on the floor?
I did.
Yeah.
I was outside. I was in the back deck of my home. I was on the phone with my mom.
Oh, wow.
And I just kind of crumbled in the dirt, really, in the backyard. I will say, though, I'm grateful for the embodied experience, because I think sometimes we hold that shock in our minds in a way that is incongruent with our body's experience. So the fact that all of me, from my brain to my toes, had this kind of reaction, as I look back on it, feels, quote unquote, healthier, feels congruent,
Yeah.
feels
Yeah.
embodied, feels whole. I didn't have in that moment the burden of needing to be a grown-up, of needing to take care of anybody or anything. I didn't have to keep up an appearance. Nobody was watching me. I could just crumble. And it
Yeah.
was what I needed to do. And
Yeah.
I think it mattered in the long run to how I processed that grief.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a section that you talked about. Freud was right. What are you getting at there? What did Freud get right that you discovered in that moment?
Well, I was playing with those basic drives that Freud talked about, thanatos and libido. Thanatos, of course, being that drive towards destruction, right? These are the drives that live in the id that the rest
Yeah.
of our personality is trying to control and manage. But in this moment, the drive towards destruction, that sense of, I want to claw something, I want to kill something, I kind of felt like I tapped into this, not to mix my theorists, but this collective unconscious of violence, because there was something in me that just wanted to erupt.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I had this other urge that was almost more sexual. It was like something in me that wanted to recreate, wanted to feel the aliveness of another body. And so, I walk around as a very put together professional. I'm a mother, I take care of things, but to have this experience that sort of thrust me into the depths of those libidinal urges, was certainly kind of a life-changing moment for me to really feel the power of
Yeah.
my body's drives in that moment.